Hey band directors, hey music educators, welcome. I too love this career. It's dynamic, it's fulfilling, there's never a dull moment. But let's be honest, the workload, it's high. We're asked to do a lot of crazy things. We have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of different hats, if you will, that we're constantly being asked to do. And I find that at many times it's nearly impossible to live up to all these expectations and to do it at a really high level. It's time that we share and steal ideas on a larger scale. And that's what I want to do here. So I decided to do something about it. So I'll go first. Welcome to Band Directors Anonymous. My name is Zach, and this is my 12th year. Although that number is a little misleading because the first 10 years out of college I spent as a trumpet player, gigging, freelancing, teaching lessons, and all that good stuff before I realized that teaching was what I really wanted to do. And I want to figure out better solutions for our problems. And when I say our problems, I'm talking again, you, me, everybody else watching, we all have similar issues that we're dealing with. So let's find some help. Here is what I get when I type in band director into YouTube. Here are the search suggestions. Prank, sprinkler. If you haven't seen that, the guy who blocks the sprinkler, we've all been there. Go out to rehearsal and the water's on. A rant, breaks violin. Yeah, and gets mad. It's really helpful, isn't it? That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to pull my hair out because I need help, and these are the search suggestions that Google and YouTube have to offer for me. Not all that helpful, if you ask me. So where do we turn for help and support? Each other. All of us have stolen ideas from each other, asked friends, asked for recommendations, and again, let's do this on a larger scale. So that's my intention for this new project. Here's what I think. When I look back on my professional career, even just a couple years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, the things I thought I did well and thought I knew, I cringe at that thought right now. And so I wonder, what am I going to be like in 2 years from now or 4 years from now? Am I going to cringe on myself today and the things I'm doing? Will I cringe at making this video? I hope not. And it really started me thinking on a bigger subject, growth and how we get there and how we grow and learning from mistakes and being successful and all those things. It reminds me of a recent book called Principles by Ray Dalio. If you've never heard of it, there's a link down here to Amazon, you can get it. It's a big book, and if you're like me, a band director who doesn't have all that much spare time, there's also an animated cartoon that's less than 30 minutes. It explains the whole thing. And it's really the whole idea of learning from mistakes, learning from success, and I can't recommend it enough. Because frankly, what are you using today that you learned in college? You learned some of it, but not a lot of things you had to figure out. Did you learn how to make phone calls to parents? Did you learn how the best way to get a kid to practice when they don't want to? Did you learn what to do when that student is in tears because life has happened and they have a serious problem? Did you learn how to talk to the counselors and the students about how to take summer school or how to work their schedule so they can fit that second band class into their schedule and you can actually have a full jazz band? Did you learn about ordering uniforms or designing t-shirts? What about how to convince parents to help out? How about in middle school convincing kids that you need some trombone players and not everyone should play drums or alto sax or flute? I went to a really good school. I went to a big school of music in Southern California, USC to be specific. I guarantee that your ed methods were way better than mine. Let me give you an example. Bassoon. The only thing I learned about bassoon in college was the last week of oboe. The professor brought in a big case, put it on the piano, and said, "This is a bassoon. Here's how you put it together. And if you want to start any students on this, make sure they're really smart, they can figure out these thumb buttons, and get them some private lessons because they're going to need it." I find this poster sums up our career and sort of what I'm going after right here. I have one in my band room. I look at it a lot to remind me of all the things I do. The only one that I found that's not on here is bus driver, because we've all had to drive activity buses and save a few dollars rather than paying for a bus driver, drive that extra white bus. I also think you might make a case that psychic should be on there because let's be honest, we have to predict the future with uniform trends, what music's gonna be popular. Do we want to waste $60 on that stand tune? Is it gonna be outdated in a year? What should a show theme be for next year? All those things require us to make an educated guess into the future. So bus driver, psychic. If you don't have one of these posters, I encourage you to get it. There's a link down in the description. I hope this guy sells out of them. They're amazing. So I don't know about you, but I find that the second I think I have it figured out and I think I'm caught up, something hits me from the side. A schedule change, a conflict, instruments become broken at the last possible minute, or you get one of those really precious emails from parents that make you wonder why you're doing this. My personal favorite is one time I had a parent that was irate with me because they ordered 11 and a half marching shoes and they ended up with 11 marching shoes. Yep, that was a long email chain. That was difficult. Early in my career, I had the good fortune of working at a big school in East Tennessee. I was one of 4 band directors. It was a big school. They'd done a Rose Parade, Macy's Parade. They actually weren't even the biggest school in the region. There was another behemoth that was a BOA contender. And there were 3 other directors, older than me and more experienced, that I got to see on a daily basis. And I learned so much in the couple of years that I was there. And now I'm a school where I'm the only director for a middle school and a high school. And a lot of my schools in my community are like that, one director doing it all. And you're isolated. You don't have the resources to turn to somebody first period and third period and say, hey, what's the finger for that? How do you tune this? Why does this sound funny? What size read? What strength reads? You don't have the resources. So I'm turning to this as a form for all of us that are isolated and don't have the support in our communities to be supportive for each other. My ultimate goal here is that I share ideas and the way I do things, and I sincerely hope that I share something and put it out there, and 14 people put a better way out there, put a better way to do it instantly in a response, and I go, whoa, I'm glad, because then I've learned, and then I'm better, and I've saved myself time, and everyone's growing, and we're growing at a bigger and quicker pace because this is YouTube, this is the internet. So the reason I've decided to start this after 12 years of teaching is this past month, my beloved band director, the one who got me into this, died recently. And it really started me thinking about legacy and what you leave behind, and looking at all the things I learned from him and the way he did things. And I started thinking about, how we really just pick up so many ideas and great, best practices from watching and seeing other directors. There have been times where I've seen a picture of someone's band room and picked up ways to organize scores and pass out music that I would have never found on my own. So there's got to be a way to spread and disseminate ideas that are best practices for our career. And let's be honest, we need this help. There's so much we have to do on a daily basis. So I thought this would be a great format for this. Along those lines, I want this to be community driven. In the comment section, I'm looking for you to add your questions, your thoughts, how you do things, so that we can all learn together. Here's a specific ask. Type it in the comments. What have you learned? What have you had to teach yourself recently that you did not learn in college? For me, it was purchase orders and finance and how to balance the books and how to keep track of money and how to budget and really stay on top of that. Because it's really like keeping all, you have your own personal finances, and then you have your whole entire band finances. And that's a whole art in and of itself. And I work in 2 buildings. There's 2 sets of purchase orders. It's not that much fun, to be quite frank about it. So what's something that you've had to learn that you were not taught in college? So seriously, comment below. I don't care if it's currently 2020 and you're thinking this video is 2 years old and nobody's going to see it. Type something in there. You can do it. And while the next video, before it starts to auto-load, consider checking out the guy who smashes the violin. If you've not seen that video, it is epic. He grabs the violin and smashes it. But here's why it's so popular. Nobody really wants to talk about this. You and I both know that there have been times where we have wanted to take an instrument, smash it. Right? I'm not an expert. I'm a normal band director with an average size program, trying to grow, trying to get better, and trying to make it bigger. And I'm just looking for help, and I'm looking to help other people along the way. That's awesome. Most of what I find in this space is, educators or professors or somebody with something to sell giving advice. Oftentimes there's a certain like ivory tower or mountaintop element to it where they're saying this is the way to do it, this is the way they've always done it. And there's also a certain amount of ego that I find gets in the way of their message. So sometimes I find that hard to learn when they're only telling me there's one way to do it and it's their way. So I'm hoping we can find lots of different ways to do it, and I imagine it'll be different for everybody.
The motivation for the start of this project was the death of my beloved director. And here's the takeaway. When was the last time you thanked or talked to your band director, the person that got you into this? I am overwhelmed with my inbox and all the things that come in on a daily basis. How do you handle that? Let me know in the comments. So, thanks for watching. This has been Band Directors Anonymous. Like, subscribe, do all those cool things, and I'll see you next time.